when did we do those descriptive essays? Last week and the week before. Nick? Yeah. Good, I'm glad you're confirming that. Okay, so I'm going to use the two books, Caught by the Sea and My Great Aunt Arizona, as our examples. And we're going to first look at this book, because when we read this book, there were lots of great descriptions in here. Remember reading about the sharks and the plane crash and the boat? Okay, so we're going to look at a section from here. We're going to add more sensory details to this page, okay, to one of the pages in this book. We're going to practice it as a group, okay? And then what we're going to do is look at our own drafts and work on revising and adding some sensory details to our own drafts. If you're doing prompt 1 or prompt 2, it doesn't matter. You can still add more details. You could still add figurative language. Those are items that make your writing interesting. Okay, and trust me, reading 60 essays based on 2 prompts, that's a lot of writing or reading that I need to do. So when your writing stands out and you use interesting language, interesting vocabulary, when you incorporate your 5 senses, and when you use that figurative language, your writing will stand out. Okay? So we're going to take a look first at this book. While we're reading, flip your rough draft over. On the back, hopefully you have a little bit of room. On the back, what I would like you to do is write down something you hear, whether it's a word that uses figurative language. So what are some examples of figurative language? Okay.
The wind howled.
Okay, so that would be personification. The wind howled. Eden? Okay, so onomatopoeia. The whoosh of the wind. Jasmine. Okay, the wind was music for the dancing snowflakes. Okay, so maybe some metaphor or simile. The wind was as light as a feather. Okay, that would be a simile.
The snow was a blanket as it covered. The snow was a blanket as it covered the grass.
Okay, good. The snow was a blanket as it covered the grass. Good. Okay, so listen for those items. When I say sensory details, what else can we listen for, Carter, as we are listening?
Describing words.
Good. Describing words, like what?
Like, onomatopoeia and, the shape of something, the smell of something.
Good. So your senses. Good. So what can you picture or feel or smell or taste using your 5 senses as you read? And you're going to hear a lot of description that's sensory in this reading. Okay? Here we go. So as you're listening, you're writing down details that he uses. No, if you just want to jot notes down, that would be okay. You don't have to use a complete sentence. Here we go. So I worked my way northwest at a 5 knots until I began to approach the north end of the island. It was extremely dark. Even the whitecaps didn't show very well. But at last I began to understand that something was amiss. I became aware of a constant roaring sound. At first I thought something was wrong with the motor, but it was too loud. Finally I acknowledged that it was the wind. By now the roar was loud enough to be heard over the sound of the engine, but the sea was not alarming. It was almost flat, with no waves and no real swell, because I was tucked well into the lee of Catalina, almost in the kelp line. Still I felt it was time to be cautious, and I decided that I would put the boat on autopilot, go up and throw a couple of reefs in the main, roll and jib completely, and deploy the much smaller staysail. And then I could see that if I turned the radio loud enough so that I could hear some of the weather channel over the sound of the wind and the engine without leaving the cockpit. It was nearly the last time that I ever sailed a boat. All this time I had been working north at 5 knots and was approaching the end of the island. As I rolled up the jib with the lines of the cockpit, I could see the north end light ahead. I counted the flashes and timed them and knew from their position on the chart that I would soon be out of the lee. I had a harness and safety line on, and I clipped the line to the jacket and went forward and moved up the mast to reef. I was halfway there when we got hit. With me halfway to the mast, the whole world went mad. The wind hit the boat with a demonic shriek, screaming, roaring, driving spray into my eyes and blinding me. I felt the boat go over her beam and slide sideways. I was thrown off the boat, hanging in my lifeline and the harness on the downside, dangling above deck and in the water, disoriented, upside down, then right side up. The wind a wild howling, and filling my ears, my mind, my soul, and with the sudden onslaught of wind came the waves. They were true monsters, steep-sided, galloping, 20, 30 feet high, almost vertical walls with breaking tops that caught the boat and held her down on her side with me in the water, clawing to get back on, ripping my nails, cutting my hands, now fighting to live, not sail, not obey the call of the sea, nothing noble or high-flown now, but just to live, just to get on the boat and live. And that's all I'm going to read to you. If you don't want to read this book after that,
I do.
you do? Okay. That's good. It is intense, Gavin. What made it so intense? What are some of the things you wrote down that made this so intense? Part of it.
Roaring winds, shrieks, screaming, wind howling, monster waves.
Good. Andrea. Okay, the roaring waves hitting the boat. Good. Okay.
A couple of reefs in the rains.
Okay, so you can get a good picture here.
Wild howling,
Good.
ripping, and monster waves.
Monster waves. Does that give you a visual in your mind?
Yeah.
It gives me a visual in my mind too.
I think the demonic shrieks and the waves were monsters. The sea was not alarming.
Okay, that's not alarming. Again, he's saying how it affected him. We talked about that in the beginning too. Good. Yes. The screaming and roaring, all of these sound words that we're using. Nay. Okay, so there was some technical vocabulary in here too, and you got GIF, I think, was one of them.
Yeah.
He's referring to the items on the boat and how we're pulling lines and items like that. Okay. And the howling of the wind. Good. Cassie.
Dark, light, cautious, and smaller.
Okay. So you're looking at the color, what you see. Good. Logan. The cold, salty water. Ooh. Okay, so he's underneath his boat in the water, trying to hold on to a rope, and it's ripping up his hands. Has anybody ever gotten a brush burn?
Yeah.
Okay, all of your hands are going up. We've all felt a brush burn. This is a serious brush burn, okay? You're holding onto a rope for dear life, trying not to get pulled into the water and be drowned by the waves. So you're going to hold onto that rope even if it cuts up your hands. Okay, the alternative is drown, right? And he's describing this moment to us so that we can picture him. And you all gave great examples of what you see, what you can hear, the personification, metaphor within this. Great job. Yes,
I
ma'am?
had one more. Didn't it say the whole world?
Okay, the whole world is madness. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the whole world.
Yeah, referring to the storm that was brewing. Good. Okay, so he didn't just poof, put this language in here. Okay? You have to take time and write it. And writing is hard work. It is. Okay, I see some of your faces when you're writing, oh my gosh, how many more paragraphs, Miss Saghetti? How many more? Okay? What you're going to do is you're going to add this sensory details and figurative language to your autobiographies. But we're going to practice first. So I have this book, and I read part of it to you last week. So I picked out a page that didn't use a lot of sensory details. but has the potential to use these sensory details. Yeah. All right, so on this page, Nick, can you read this first, please?
My great aunt Arizona was born in a log cabin, but her papa built a meadow on Henson Creek in the Blue Ridge Mountains. When she was born, the mailman rode across the bridge on his big bay horse with a letter.
Job. Okay, so this is kind of telling us what is happening. But does it use any of those sensory details?
No. Some of them.
Some. Carter?
Bay?
Okay, so referring to the color of the horse, the big bay horse, or the breed of the horse. Okay, good. So we have one that we can identify in there. Logan? Okay, Blue Ridge Mountains. I think that's actually a place. Okay, so that's why it's all capitalized. It's a proper noun. Okay, we can use this picture because this is a picture book. When you're writing your autobiographies, you have a picture in your mind that's based on a memory because it's a true story. You lived it already. Hope everybody's writing a true story. Okay? We've already done this. Okay, so in this text, let's add some sensory details. My great aunt Arizona was born in a log cabin her papa built in the meadow on Henson Creek in the Blue Ridge Mountains. What can we add to that? Anastasia, what can we add? Use the picture to help you too.
Let's see.
These words stick out to me. Log cabin. What words can we use to describe the log cabin?
Small.
Good. Small log cabin. Let's insert that word. Small log cabin. Does that give you more of a visual now? Not only is it a log cabin, it's also small. Liza, old? Okay, an old, small log cabin. Small, old log cabin. Good. Amelia. Okay, for what part of this? Okay, the green meadow. Oh, I love it. Beautiful meadow. Good. Beautiful. Jasmine. Okay, right. Now, would it be a good idea to use all of these words?
No.
No. Maybe we could pick one or two of them.
Yeah.
Nick.
Like the wooden bridge. Across the
Okay, across the wooden bridge. Good. What sound would a wooden bridge made when you rode a horse across it? Creaking. Okay, so maybe we could add a sentence about the wooden bridge creaked. Okay, some of you made other noises when I said, what sound would a wooden bridge make when you rode a horse across it? Let me hear you. Yeah, we're making all those clomping noises. Okay. The horse's hooves clomped